On the program, Parliament. I'm still here, Donald Mkwota. The program aims to have an in-depth analysis of issues that pertain to our Parliament and our Cabinet. Tonight we are on Parliamentary Business, and we have Honorable Temba Mliswa, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Mines and Mining Development. He is also the Member of Parliament for Northern Constituency. Honorable Mliswa, good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you, and very good evening to the viewers, to the listeners rather.
Right. We still have viewers as well, because this program is also live on Facebook, so they are actually out there and seeing what is happening in the studio. So you can follow us via our Facebook page, Capitalk 100.4 FM. You can follow us on Twitter. I know that there are questions that have also been coming through via Twitter here, and we will be indulging into that shortly. But in tonight's edition of the program, we are going to focus mainly on your portfolio committee, Honorable Mliswa. So just to get into it and pave the way for the discussions to follow, let's start by you having to explain to us what the portfolio committee on mines is all about and its role.
First of all, the role of Parliament really is one to represent and to legislate. That means making the laws and to have oversight over the executive. So our role really in terms of the Portfolio Committee on Mines and Mining Development is to ensure that the mining sector is run according to the policies, according to the laws as well. And ours is to ensure that things are done accordingly, observing corporate governance, which is important. And I think there's the Act, the Minerals Mines Act, which is there, which guides the way that mining sector should be run. And we also equally there to also change the law if need be. No wonder why we're working on the Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill to ensure that it also deals with the current situation, current environment, and that you don't have Rhodesian laws. You've got Zimbabwe's laws. We are aware of the small-scale miners who are there, who mine gold. The old current act says they must be arrested, but that was during the Rhodesian time, that they didn't want to see blacks with minerals.
Right.
But we also ensure that the laws are also enacted in a manner which befits the people of Zimbabwe.
Right. Let me take this opportunity quickly to say thank you very much to Oswald Bina. I see you are following this conversation via our Facebook page. Takawira Nyavira has also joined, and Fiona Ngube. Good evening. Thank you very much to know that you're tuned into Capitalk 100.4 FM. So at the official opening of the 9th session of Parliament, the President, Emmerson Mnangagwa, laid down the legislative agenda for this 9th Parliament. Do you have, as your committee, anything laid out as your agenda for this first session of the 9th Parliament?
Yes, I think it's pretty clear that the SONA, which is the State of the Nation's Agreement, sets the tone in what each portfolio committee is supposed to do. And from the mining point of view, there's the aspect of productivity in terms of contributing to the GDP. And if you look at it, it's 14%, which you must contribute. Agriculture is 13%. It talks to you on how important the mining sector is in contributing to the GDP of the country, which then results in a better economy, a better welfare of the people. We have legislation that we have to change in terms of the exploration bill as well, because we're talking about a country that does not know the value, the quantity, and the quality of its minerals. And so, you're always shortchanged by the private players who come in with the equipment to explore, and yet government doesn't. In 1964, there was a company created by the then Rhodesian government to be responsible for the exploration of the minerals. The reason why it is important is that we now know the life and the quality and the value of the minerals that we have. Right now, we just say we've got these resources, but how long do we have them for? We've got the Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill again, which was before the President, but he brought it back to Parliament so that we try and deal with other issues that were brought up, and we are grateful to that the President reads the documents, because they highlighted on a number of issues which we agree with. One of them is the miner-farmer relationship, saying, yeah, we're giving 99 leases to the farmers.
What are we giving to the miners?
But why should the miners take over? This is the point, because agriculture is critical, and we now think to see mining as more important than agriculture. We went to war. And he's a war veteran of the struggle, as you know. So he went to war to ensure that the land was given to the people. So now the very same land that we're giving the people to, we are now taking over the mining. Can we also normalize those relationships? As you can see that the Mining Act supersedes any other act again. So we now need to come up with an act that also observes that the farmer is there and the farmer must be led. Because if we now turn these farms into mining enterprises, what are we going to eat? So we are also having to deal with that, the operation of the ZMDC. Entities which are not performing. There's got to be privatization to ensure that we maximize on what we have. And the diamond policy is coming through. The platinum sector has been given a lot of concessions in the new budget as well, so that the players can come in. You remember, if I'm not mistaken, the Anglo-American CEO, Mr. Griffiths, when he came for the mining in Dabaye, says we cannot invest in Zimbabwe because the policies don't allow us to make money. You know, we bring in a lot of capital, but government wants to have 51% and we're 49%. There's no ways we're going to do that. And when the budget was announced and these concessions were made in the platinum sector, I tweeted to him, I said, now that Zimbabwe is now open for thin platinum mining, are you coming? Because these are big players. You cannot ignore Anglo-American and so forth. So they contribute a lot. And the mining houses in this country, credit must be given to Mimosa, Zimplats, Unki, have, if you look at it, really complied with what is required of them from a social corporate responsibility and from also the taxation that they pay. So they are not doing anything outside the law. They are working within the laws and contributing significantly.
Right. Let's just quickly, Honorable Mliswa, there are quite a number of contributions that have already started coming through. One of them is coming from Mwendambere. Mwendambere says, Donald, good evening. Please ask Honorable Mliswa what his committee is doing to put an end to the rot at Hwange Colliery.
I totally agree with you. We have an inquiry which is ongoing. You're aware of it. And I think today we try to continue with it. And those who followed, there was some disruption from other members of the committee, which I think I must apologize to the nation that that's totally unacceptable. As Parliament, we must behave with dignity and integrity, because no matter what political party we belong and no matter what differences we have, but you cannot behave in such a manner, because an inquiry is there and we'd invited Mr. Van Stratton, who is a major shareholder, second biggest shareholder, to also give us his position. Yes, the matter is before the court, but he can also talk about things which are not before the court. The issue was the Reconstruction Act, okay? And I was very clear in my deliberation, in my summary to him, that can you stick to what you think is the way forward? Because he's an outside investor, and Hwange is a stock-listed company on 3 exchanges, the London Stock Exchange, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So the investors in London want to know what happened, and the investors in Johannesburg want to know what happened. So you cannot willy-nilly, reconstruct a company, the way that government did. But government must also justify why they did it. So that inquiry continues, and we are there. And to me, the Hwange part is a sad part for us, because we need to ensure that our people enjoy the resources that they have within them and not allow people to loot and plunder these entities. Because if you look at the Hwange people, they are suffering because Hwange is not functional at the end of the day, and they're blaming government. But we are coming in to say, no. But things have got to be done in such a way, and we have a tough task to play. There's a lot of corruption which has gone on. A lot of people have benefited from it and so forth, high-ranking people in that regard. But we leave no stone unturned. And as chairperson, I have to ensure that I am doing this in the interest of the nation. But it then becomes counterproductive when certain members believe that they must protect certain people. That to me is unacceptable, and I think we have a lot to learn. That's what representation is all about.
If such is happening within your committee, Honorable Mliswa, is this then not probably a sign of things to come, where maybe we don't get even to the logical conclusion of the Hwange Colliery matter?
Anti vanoti takanda jecha saka jecha yacho mota yacho iri kudrive ndei ZANU-PF is the ruling party, it is the governing party. Saka chenjera turi ZANU-PF asiri kukanda jecha muinjini ZANU-PF. Saka chichinofa injini ZANU-PF. Saka, and I want this to the members of ZANU-PF that you are going against the new dispensation. You cannot allow corruption to prevail and think that by kukanda jecha inandina motaka inandina party and the opposition is there, it is watching. It is ZANU-PF that must scrutinize its own policies internally. The policies which we have are ZANU-PF policies, so they must be the first to criticize. They must be first to iron out any issue from a policy implementation which is not being done. Zero tolerance on corruption in line with the excellency. And unfortunately, I don't think ZANU-PF has aligned itself to His Excellency. The ordinary person in Zimbabwe seems to be ahead of ZANU-PF in terms of aligning themselves to the new dispensation. The president,
you get a sense that they are not moving in tandem with the president and his call.
They are totally in the former dispensation, the regime.
Right. Let's quickly go back to our WhatsApp platform. I've got one that has come through here from 1773, and they say, please ask Honorable Mliswa to explain why he said he will be resigning as chairman.
I'm a man of integrity. I have consulted enough. I'm waiting for the speaker to come back. I cannot be used to rubber stamp and to be part of a barbaric act of members of parliament. That was barbaric. You don't expose yourself in front of the witnesses. Okay, in the way, even if I'm wrong as chairman, there must be a manner in which you address issues.
Was it not emotional, Honorable?
No.
It's not based on emotions.
In terms of
your decision to resign as
no, but I'm considering that it's not based on emotions. I'm somebody who wants to do things properly. Okay, and I'm grateful for the opportunity I have. And to me, I have to ask myself, what value am I adding? But if we are going to be counterproductive and not expose and not get corporate governance to be followed, what is the point of being there? In the 8th Parliament, I was chairperson and we tackled real issues. This is just one. There's the gold inquiry coming through, which is more vicious, which is more dangerous. Are you with me? Now, if you're now reacting like this, muchikanda jecha pawange kokuzoti ku gold, kokuzoti kuma diamonds kwatukenda, kokuzoti ku platinum kwatukenda, ku lithium kwatukenda. So you must now say to yourself, I'm leading a team, but I don't want to be a commander of a team which will not execute. I don't believe in going to war with soldiers who are not ready or soldiers who will not play their role. We need to work as a team in national interest. I don't care which political party you belong to. In fact, like I've said, and I repeat it, I expect more from the ZANU-PF members because they are the governing party and they must set the example because the policies that we are under are ZANU-PF policies because they won the election.
Honorable Mliswa, as a legislator, as a policymaker in Parliament, just a little bit moving away from your portfolio committee, but sitting in Parliament there, do you get the sense, this is something that has also been said on different platforms here at Capitalk 100.4 FM, that there seems to be a crop of parliamentarians within this 9th Parliament who have failed to transcend party politics. Do you get that sense?
I totally agree. And to me, that is the reason why one would be forced to now think of resigning because we've got to go beyond party politics. You must understand that. When I'm a representative of the National House of Assembly on national issues. I'm no longer a representative of ZANU-PF or MDC Alliance as an independent. I go there and I look at national interests and national interest affects. And it's pretty clear that we have people without capacity. And I also blame our constitution, I blame the political parties for allowing people who don't have capacity to then lead because you are there. It's a mixed bag. There's somebody who has no integrity, who is a member of parliament, who does not even know what integrity and dignity is. So whatever they are doing, they think kuti block my proceedings, the parliament and so forth. Yet the institution itself is now exposed. Who have faith in the institution, which becomes the last resort for people to say this is the people's eye. So political differences must not come in terms of what we advocate for. When I'm a member of parliament, I'm a member of parliament for the people of Zimbabwe in Rushinga, Cholocho, Bikita, and when I bring up national issues, they are national issues. And to me, this is very sad because the 8th Parliament had people who were from different parties. But when it came to us doing our work from a gold inquiry, we did it in the interest of the people. So to me, the political party whips have a lot to talk about their members, but it's also them. Because you cannot have caucuses, you cannot have a committee which says before we make a decision, we must first of all talk to our political leadership, which is at ZANU-PF HQ or which is at Harvest House. You cannot do that. You are already there representing them. So why don't you go ahead? So to me, we have a long way to go until drastic measures are made. What happened today? There's got to be decision made which sends a clear signal to the people of Zimbabwe that this is not a waste of taxpayers' money. You even go a step further and ask yourself, do I really deserve to be a member of parliament? Or I might as well just continue helping the people of Norton because I've always wanted to help them, because I don't believe in wasting taxpayers' money. I'm one of the legislators who has not gotten a car in the 2013. I refused because I believed in ZCMC that we must build our local industry. I did not get a car. Up to now, I still have not gotten a car. In fact, the car that I was supposed to get when I won in October 16, by election, I've decided to two pickups. One becomes an ambulance for the people and so forth. So I'm not in it for anything other than to represent people, but I must make a difference. That's what makes me sleep. That today is Temba Mliswa. What is it that I did for the people of Zimbabwe? I managed to ensure that we expose corruption, because corruption is the biggest problem that we have.
You're being the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mines and being a former member of ZANU-PF. You don't feel like now you have a vantage point to settle scores, to settle beef with the guys in ZANU-PF? Are you not after anyone?
I've never. I'm very independent in my thinking, and I've never settled any scores with anyone. I must actually say that in the new dispensation, the position I have actually belongs to ZANU-PF, because political parties are given committees, and because of merit, I was given this position, and I believe I mean it because of merit at the end of the day. But even if I was not chairman, I'm still able to contribute effectively in Parliament by pushing for motions and so forth. But I never want to be put in a compromised position. ZANU-PF, if it feels that I am not the right person, they have a right to remove me tomorrow. But when they have me as chair, they're looking at me being the person to drive this. And to me, it says a lot when they are also behind the scenes having caucuses which affect the proceedings of Parliament. To me, it really, really affects me. And I say to myself, the people are suffering out there. And why are we doing this in front of people, cameras, where an investor comes there, Mr. Nick Van Oosthuizen, with due respect, says, but is this how you conduct yourselves in Parliament? There's an investor coming in saying that. So what picture has it given? You can never rub that. It's now record.
And yet we are saying Zimbabwe is open for business. Honorable Mliswa, there is another one that has come through from Sekur Babafei. Sekur Babafei says, what is the latest news on the exploration of oil deposits in Zarabani?
I think what I have from what the president said was that the people who had discovered that briefed the president about that, and they went to Australia to announce. They believed that they could not announce before the president knew about it. And I think in 2020, that is when we expect the results. So the findings continue.
Right. Another one that has come through, this one is coming through from 1773. And please tell Mkoma Temba and Dane Black Belt. So, per Christmas, I'm challenging him. Per not on Twitter, Majaba. But anyway, on a more serious note, they say my question to him is about Shabani Mashaba mine. He feels that Mutumwa Mawere is being treated unfairly.
I think, first of all, to report on the Black Belt, I like that, but I did Aikido. So, Aikido is the Steven Seagal martial arts. We don't use force. Our force, we use one's force to attack. So I wait for you to attack, so I look forward to that. But anyway, I think the SMM issue again, with due, I think it's an issue which went under reconstruction. And the people are asking, does reconstruction work? Because it has not achieved the intended results in terms of resuscitating the mine itself. So yes, we have said that through the ZMDC inquiry, we shall include SMM as well. So he wrote to us said that he wanted to appear before us, but we said okay, because SMM was part of ZMDC. So as a result, when we do the ZMDC inquiry into their operations, we will certainly invite Mr. Mawere. He has the right to appear before the Parliamentary Committee and contribute and be heard in what he says. That's how Parliament operates. Anybody can be able to do that. No one can shut the door out for him. In fact, we must actually say the last time, the last sitting, we were supposed to invite him because we went to ZMTC, but we didn't have the time because the Parliament was coming to an end. So we owe him that to appear before us, and he must wait for the time to come, and he'll certainly appear before us.
Right. Let's take on a call. 495-112. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Dara.
How are you, my sister? Whom am I talking to? Where are you calling from? Abigail. Please, Sister Abigail.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I want to speak to Mr. Mliswa.
He's here and he's listening.
Honorable Mliswa, I respect you so much. I'm glad that, as a member of Parliament, Makandiwa, the conduct which was known as legislator, Kinonyara is public. Kinonyara is members of public. And you think within the next 5 years, I'm happy that you are also seeing institutions or Africans that they are not happy with the public. But I'm alone, I try to see the things, the two guys I'm glad that as a member of Parliament, you have stated yourself, and I hope your colleagues are going to change their behavior and change for the better. We want our country to develop. We want our country to go forward. And we can only go forward the minimum character, honorable. I thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Sister Abigail. Before the Honorable responds, let's quickly check on another one. Good evening, Capitalk.
Hello, Makandiwa.
Ndisipo wangu Makandiwa koma ndutaura nani?
Ndinonzo Andrew ndikufuna ndirikwarimpasi.
Okay.
Ndinotenda kutaura nawo Mliswa wakateerera. He's doing a very good job kana takatarisa zvavari kuita. But chinhu chiri kungorwadza maZimbabwe ndechekuti kubvira last year he was talking nenhau yecorruption, vamwe vachiramba kucooperata nawo wachiita sei, but up to now vanhu vacho havasi kumbosungwa, vari kungofamba vachiramba vachiita mari, but is busy preaching nenhau yekuti corruption nhasi azodini happen kuti vanhu vasungwe, kana parliament ine mapowers ekuti vanhu vasungwe here kana kuti vanhu vaite sei vakwanise kuendeswa kumamajority court kuti vasungwe, because we are busy, ari busy kutaura nekupreacha murume, but there is no action on the ground.
All right. That's another contribution. Honorable Mliswa respond to those two.
Sister Abigail, I want to apologize profusely to you and the Zimbabweans at large for that conduct. As chairperson, I take full responsibility. I'll do a report to the Speaker of Parliament and the clerk, who I have no doubt will take appropriate action so that that does not happen, because this is taxpayers' money at waste when the country is suffering so much and the little pennies people have are going towards that sort of behavior. I'm hoping that the party, the ruling party, ZANU-PF, will also reprimand those members, because I don't think that that's what they support. I think the president is very clear. But of course, the president cannot control everything. You've got also office bearers in ZANU-PF who are at Parliament, who I hope will take 10 measures, because if they don't do anything about that, no one will have confidence in this Parliament. Again, in terms of corruption, I cannot agree with you more than what you have said. Totally, I'm equally disappointed that the people who are arrested are also the wrong people. And I think I go back to the thing. President is speaking the right language, but there's no implementation to what he's saying, and this has a lot to do with the institutions below him. Where is the ZRP to arrest people? Anti-corruption itself as well. But how clean is anti-corruption? How clean are the police as well? So there's the credibility of these institutions which are supposed to really arrest, because I totally agree with you. People get discouraged because we've been talking about this. That was the same saying with the former president Mugabe, that we don't want corruption and we'll act on corruption. And yet there were ministers within his cabinet who were corrupt, and then they only get arrested after they are no longer ministers. And I'm hoping that the president has put together a special committee in his office that will tackle these issues. I think he's realized that there need to be so many vices to deal with corruption, but the big fish are still there. They need to be fished out. And I think I would like a headline one day which says, minister arrested while they are in office, not minister arrested after they're in office. That's my prayer.
Honorable Mliswa, does Parliament have the power to, maybe through a parliamentary decree, or I don't know, whatever it is called, to then say, the same way that you summon maybe some people before your committee, to then say this person should face the law or should go to the court?
There's the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Security, which most of these organs fall under, and the anti-corruption falls under the Legal Parliamentary Committee, which is there. And, I look forward to chairpersons and the committees of this, bringing these people before and say, but we've got these recommendations, because we made recommendations in terms of our mandate in the Mines and Energy Committee in the 8th sitting of Parliament, which some of them have not been implemented, saying, but this one must be investigated. This one must be investigated. But something that I can say to the president is that we did recommend that Dr. Obert Mpofu must not be a minister because he failed to respect Parliament. And today we see he's not a minister. So I'm glad, because that was the prerogative of the president.
You made those recommendations as a committee?
We made the recommendations. We also said must also be investigated. We also named a number of people that must be investigated. We also talked about the diamond situation, that the takeover then was wrong. Can these diamonds go back to the original owners? But we also see that that has not been implemented. So now we ask ourselves, if it has not been implemented, what is the role of Parliament? Are people undermining Parliament? But yes, Parliament has certain powers to hold you in contempt. And we have said to the minister that if he does not implement our recommendations or comply with them, we have no choice but to hold you in contempt. But the problem that there is now, this is a government minister belonging to ZANU-PF. And the majority of the members in these committees are ZANU-PF because they control 2/3. Are they willing to see their ministers being held in contempt? This is where the shenanigans start, and this is where people start losing faith. This is where I'm urging that if ZANU-PF is to be part of this new dispensation, that has been the forefront of arresting and recommending those who are corrupt, those who are working against their own policies. Until we get to such a stage, it remains a talk show.
Right. Honorable Mliswa, do you, in the work that you have done as a committee, starting with the last session of the 8th Parliament, for example, I'll draw your attention to that one, and what has happened recently, do you fear for your life? The reason why I'm asking this question is actually coming from a listener who says, I think Honorable Mliswa is the best person for this job. I just hope he will reconsider his said resignation, but I fear for his life.
I want to thank that. I get cars coming to my house without number plates looking for me, and at times I've been offered extra protection. But I said, I'll be insulting God. I've been free from any harm because I believe in God, and He looks after me never. He protects me. The day I have extra security, they're the ones who are going to tell everybody where I am. I drove myself here. I'm going to drive back again. And I feel quite safe in this country because we have God-fearing people, we have loving people who I know wherever they are praying for me. It's not my prayer alone, but they also pray for legislators like myself and others who are performing so that we are protected by God. And those prayers, I thank you for them, and let's discharge our duties. I am prepared to face whatever for as long as what I am doing. I've always said this to my kids: if anything happens to me but it's in the interest of the nation, then I will die a happy person, because that's what I chose to do, and to represent the people wholeheartedly and with passion.
Right, let's take on another contribution coming through our WhatsApp platform. This is 7453, and quickly we'll go to our telephone line. I see my lines blazing there. This one is coming from Steve Gewa, and he says, I have a question to Honorable Mliswa. There is rumor that there are Chinese nationals who are pegging mining claims and reselling them at exorbitant prices. Please, can you address this as Parliament? Foreign nationals should not be doing such, robbing our minerals. So you might want to hold on to that one before you respond. Let's quickly take on somebody on the line. Capitalk, good evening.
Hey, Mkoma Johnny.
Mkoma Masimba.
Unotamba ere?
Ndinotamba kuritei.
Kunofara ndina bonyora message ati honorable Makandiwa honorable Mliswa.
Andinofara munotamba ere?
Ndinotamba ndini ndaboti ndane black dot reko Australia. Ndamboya pa Christmas kumeda panoto na panobo kuti atakai obo defender.
Vanhu vacho vakawanda kana ndakabvutwa nevanhu 17,000 vanenge vari kusaidi kwangu.
Ndinoene gwenzi yangu yese. Okay, Mkoma Temba, thank you so much for the contribution that you. Mkoma Temba, ndanyora message for WhatsApp richibvunza about Shabani Mashara mai, and I'm glad mapindira nditi aiwa. Mr Mawere vakatonyora kusamba muchavadaidza kuma Parliamentary, which is very good. Right, I want to say thank you so much because hey, ndakaita test yacho na Mr Mawere. Then ndakadzidza kuti when Shabani Mashara mai was a private company.
That's
you
true.
never got any government loans from the government.
Yeah.
So those are all fakes, and they show my papers as it is. Rakaipapo Mkoma Temba, mutibatsiro yende kuParliament yacho. Then Mkoma Temba, this question I'm going to ask you not for fun or to make fun of you, honorable. I've got friends on Facebook, right? In the type of pocket Facebook, I've got your number though. The better than me to say it. Mkoma Temba, pane issue kuzi, pana someone akamneshina pa Facebook really. Mkoma Temba, vakauya kwa prophet, vakanamativa. That's why speech yao improver, right? Mkoma Temba, is that true or that's a lie?
Prophet upi?
Was pane issue kuti kati Facebook page for social interaction vakana. Someone gets a testimony on you, that no, vanosara vega. Mkoma Temba, speech yao yaka-improve akauya kuna prophet ready, prophet Makandiwa.
No, believe you me, I have always believed in what he does. He's a man of God, and he has his gift of preaching, and he's one of the few. I never believe in many prophets, but I like the way he conducts himself from a spiritual point of view. But I'm yet to attend his sessions. Each time I see him, we greet each other in public, and he's a man I admire. That I must be honest. I like the way he conducts himself.
No, thank you so much, Mkoma Temba. And talk about experience, I'm going to invite you to the full details of the Parliament, the procedures, the protocols, the rules. You know, rules in Parliament. But I'll talk about experience. Thank you so much, Mkoma Temba. Thank you very much.
All right, Mkoma Masimba. That was Mkoma Masimba there, and thank you very much for that clarification. Now, your committee, Honorable, became famous during the 5th session of the 8th Parliament, as you tackled the diamond issues from Marang and Chiazo, among others. Questions are around the logical conclusion to these matters. Can we safely say that your committee did its work and recommendations were put forward and you just await implementation?
Yes, that's what we await for. We are very clear. Our recommendations were that the takeover of the diamonds was illegal. And as a result, we need to follow the rule of law. The rule of law is we must go back to the February 2016 position, which these mines were in possession of the rightful owners. If government requires them, it must take the necessary measures legally and procedurally to be able to take from them. Our position has not changed. That's the position of the committee. And we have spoken to the minister about this. We see them continuing with ZCDC. We even said ZCDC was illegal in its creation. And they continue with it, because I'm not against ZCDC or whatever they are doing, but I cannot sit here as a chairman or as a parliamentarian and say that what they are doing is correct when Parliament recommended that even ZCDC is illegal, okay, in its nature, and that the diamond mining that is taking place must not continue. The concessions must go back to the people that they took away from, because they did not do it in a procedural manner. There was no rule of law observed. You just said police may go with AK rifles, removing people and so forth. And we don't expect the government to do that. And there is also the aspect of property rights. In the Constitution, we must respect the property of the people. That's the reason why people will want to come and invest in Zimbabwe or not invest in Zimbabwe if we don't respect. Our Constitution is very clear, and this is in line with our Constitution, and government cannot be above the Constitution. This is the issue. We all must comply with the Constitution. The aspect of the Chinese robbing people, these issues have come. Not only that, as far as even land degradation, environmental degradation, which if you see kuna shurugwi huku, charo makula chacho vakutoenda pasi vachita zvese izvi, and that's why you saw me even putting a court order in terms of the factory in China. They must comply with EIA, and so forth, which they are doing, and comply with the laws of the country. So I spoke to the Chinese ambassador the other day and said, is it possible for us to meet with all the Chinese miners and have a session and talk to them? What are they doing about this environmental degradation, and in terms of also respecting our people and the laws and so forth? While Zimbabwe is going to look East policy, we must also understand that our resources, our environment is ours, and it must be protected. This is where indigenization and empowerment comes in. They must work with the locals, but in complying with the laws of the country.
Right. Let's take on another caller online. Capitalk, good evening. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost that one, but the number is 495-112, 495-112 if you want to get in touch with us. We've got somebody online. Good evening.
Good evening, Gerald. How are you?
Very well, my brother. Whom am I talking to?
It's Chairman. I'm calling from Kwaza.
How do you say about Kwaza, Chairman?
Right, Gerald. I would like to talk to Honorable Mliswa. Thank you very much, Honorable, for the splendid job. Of late, there are a lot of deals which were signed by the president, and most of them, they were involving mineral resources. I would like to ask you, Honorable Mliswa, with the Parliament, was it involved in the signing of those deals? And if it was involved, Panama geologists, they evaluate mineral resources, they were with the value 4.2 billion, 3.2 and 0.2 billion. That's my contribution. Thank you, Donald.
All right, thank you very much, Mkoma.
That's it's like you were part of the conversation I was having. We must call Acadia Lithium Company before us, look at their contract and do a due diligence. Because the president has done a groundbreaking, it does not mean that we don't do our job. The president knows there's parliament that exercises oversight law, and we're able to expose the contract if it was flawed, because we have had people coming in promising a lot and nothing happening. And these deals have been a lot, but there's nothing on the ground. If you look at the budget by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Professor Mawere, it talks about 168 billion deals, but of that, what is on the ground? There is nothing. So a due diligence needs to be done. Gaika, look at the road. It was signed groundbreaking, but nothing happened until the President Mnangagwa had to recall that contract, cancel that contract, because these people did not have the money. So that is the role of Parliament, and we've gone a step further by inviting the Reserve Bank to do a financial due diligence on every company that invests in Zimbabwe. Do they have the money or don't they have the money? And we invite them, when are you starting these programs? And that's why the exploration bill is important. You say, but these minerals that we have, what is the value? I like that. That's why we've spoken about the exploration bill, which will look at the quality, the value, and the quantity of the minerals that we have, so that we know that the gold that we have is worth 2 billion, 10 billion, and it will finish in this year. This is where a lot of it is. And so the platinum that we have, because these minerals have a world market price. While you're hanging on to them and not using them again, they're losing value. So we are also coming with the use it or lose it. There are many people who are sitting on many concessions. There's a company sitting on 560 concessions, but the Mining Act says that you just have to mine 10% of that. So 10% of that is 56 concessions. So the rest, 504 are not being mined, but yet people are suffering. And these guys can decide, they tell you, if you ask them, when are you going to start mining, they'll tell you 2090. 2090, you and I will not be there. So these are some of the laws that we're changing, and that's a very important input, and the exploration bill certainly will address that.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. There have been numerous reports raised by the Auditor General, Ms. Chiri, in all different ministries, including mining entities, but no action was taken. This has been done for years. Mismanagement reports have not been investigated. What are you doing, Honorable Mliswa, to ensure walking the talk and not giving a blind eye to these issues? This is Kuda in Hillside.
I must say, presenter, this is probably one of the best programs I've been on, because the questions which are coming in are excellent questions, and they talk about the real issues, the Auditor General's reports. What has happened to that? And precisely my point to the Minister of Finance: why are you giving ministries money when they've not complied with the Auditor General's report? There are recommendations in what they should do. So the Minister of Finance must be very clear in saying that this ministry must not be given money because you have not complied with the recommendations of Auditor General. So what we have done, we've given them more money. Again, the Minister of Finance has borrowed more than it's supposed to borrow without coming to Parliament. This is an issue which our esteemed Speaker continuously talks to us at Parliament. You have an oversight role. Do you realize that the borrowing, when there is no budget passed, must be less 25%, not more than that. But government goes beyond that. But who is bringing them to order? This is our role, and I think the Auditor General's office has done a sterling job, Mrs. Chari. No wonder why you saw when she was removed from a position, Parliament said, no, we need her back because of the good job that has happened, and there must be compliance on behalf of government. And this is the role of the Minister of Finance, to say, but we cannot give you money. And yes, I'll be bringing that when we debate, and I've got it as one of the key points of bringing up that, yes, these budgets have come through, but why are you giving money to people who have not accounted for the money?
Right. Let's take on another caller. Good evening, Capitalk, 100.4 FM.
Yes, God.
Good evening. Whom am I talking to?
Mr. Fazo.
Mr. Fazo, on the right. Good day.
Good. Honorable, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Tafazo?
Good. Right. Honorable, my quick point in the equity, like, corruption. It's quick one name MPs, formerly on the ruling party side. But the funny part of it, I don't know what you mean, Parliament knows or nothing. But are the same members of Parliament from the other side, who are the ones who are winning the media. It is a corruption, but are the very same people who are court mind. Corruption. But my point is, Honorable, can we have a situation whereby my members of Parliament can have European Parliament, mirrors with those which would mirror for their personal gain? Because in this case, these people, they are just there to represent their personal gain. That's the reason why Murukona joins in Parliament no anymore. Even when I come to Mliswa, are doing good things without Nigain, but these are the guys, they are just busy with a noise in Parliament. At the end of the day, Parliament. So I think maybe with your wisdom, my gonna to back it out, Sevan is Mabuk, Tema, Gona, Tembo, Zagada is saying, can I forget what it is over the Parliament? What's the end of the day? I want to true in the nation. What's corruption? You're with the time. But you are not defending food corruption. And at the same people are going to food Parliament. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Tafazo.
That's an excellent contribution. And
conflict of interest?
It talks about that as well. You know, I was just in Mozambique at an extractive mining workshop, and one of the Ghanaian lawyers said that why should members of Parliament become ministers? Members of Parliament are there for oversight, but they now have jobs. Why should we not have ministers who are not members of Parliament, so that Parliament can have a checking system on them? Interesting.
Very interesting.
You know, and to me, we need to go that way. And this is exactly what he's talking about, that you are making the laws, but you're also on the wrong side of the law, and you seem to be supporting yourself again in that manner. And there is no defense. Anybody who defends corruption certainly will not go to heaven, to be honest with you. And I must admit, I mean, you know, it's something that is affecting our people. Our people are good people. They work hard, but their resources have been plundered by a few people, and those people have not been held accountable. We are arresting the wrong people. And again, I also say to him, it's also up to the electorate, it's up to the political parties you belong to come up with some criteria that if you are to become an MP, there must be a lifestyle audit on you, first of all. And secondly, you must have a certain level of education. Right now, the only requirement of being an MP, you are a citizen, registered voter, and you're over 29 and you have no conviction. Can you believe that?
No.
Zambia has gone to say you must have all levels. Saka zumwe zvacho andidi kunyeba. Kumapati kwenyu ina handisi kupatika. Ndosa njiti kumapati kwenyu. Ndiko kune nyaya kunotangira nyaya kuti uyu munhu anondisapota ari loyal timupe. If you look at the representation in Parliament, it does not talk about the level of education of our people, to be honest with you. It's actually the other way around.
Honorable Mliswa, just quickly before we wrap up the program, so one of the things that happens in this program is also to have you as legislators then educating us on how even then Parliament works. So just a quick question as we wrap up the program. Is it possible for legislators to actually write to the Honorable Speaker Mdenda and maybe request for the recall of parliamentarians who exhibit unacceptable behavior to be recalled? This is a contribution that is coming from Chuma in Glen Forest. He's limiting it to the MDC, but I want it to be broader than that. So he says, good evening, MP Mliswa. May you please talk to Honorable Mdenda, please. MDC members' behavior is totally unacceptable. They must be terminated from their duties. Please make laws which deal with such childish behavior. We need serious people who deliver. Can you do that as a legislator?
That's a good one. 129K of the Constitution, 129K, read it, talks about the party having power to withdraw its candidate, because most of these people are under a party ticket. The only person in this country, in that parliament, who cannot be withdrawn by a political party is me. It's actually me who can withdraw me by writing to the speaker that I, as Temba, have decided not to be a member of parliament. But the constitution gives power to the party to withdraw. I've moved a motion to debate on that, how it has killed parliament, how it has killed national interest, in that members are constantly whipped. But in terms of any other business that you want, you can write to the Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Chokuda, who is efficient in his discharge to ensure that we get all the communication that we require. Parliament has got a world-class administration, I must tell you. We are under-capacitated resource-wise. We've got a clerk, but that clerk serves 3 committees with a researcher. The researcher serves 3 committees instead of having a researcher and a clerk per committee. That's how stretched they are, but they deliver in what they can. We are grateful to the leadership of the Advocate, Honorable Advocate Jacob Mdenda, and the head of administration, our clerk, Chokuda, in allowing us to do research. Not only that, they've gone a step further by ensuring that members of parliament leave parliament with degrees or O levels. That's how, the speaker has been a stickler for that. By the way, we call him the headmaster. So we're always saying he plays his role of the headmaster to ensure that we are also academically there.
All right. Honorable Temba Mliswa there, who is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Mines and Mining Development, also the Member of Parliament for Norton constituency. Tonight in the program, we're concentrating on his Portfolio Committee, Mines and Mining Development. I hope that in future programs, we will bring you back to the studio to talk specifically about Norton.
I look forward to that. Norton is where it's happening every day.
Honorable Mliswa, once again, thank you very much for coming through. My name is Donald Mkota. Pleasant listening on Capitalk 100.4 FM.